Waiting for it to go live. Okay. All right. Is it live? It says it started stream, but I'm not hearing myself. When you go live, you hear yourself. Are you seeing the? Oh, here it is. Got it. All right, fine. So we should be live. So let me now share the screen. Just do the whole screen. So what we had is this is the assignment, and the assignment is the first part is to create a table for each student on the particular research project where you're going to be filling out these things. I just copy this into Excel as in any spreadsheet would do, and not this. Where's my? Oh, this was it. Right. So here we are. It's a little bit small, sorry for that. But the first thing that was asked for was the APA reference. So as an example, and since we're in the middle of a pandemic, I decided to look at, went to Google Scholar. For those who don't know, you can type in Scholar under Google and it comes up, Google Scholar comes up. So I decided to look at digital health and COVID, because digital health is using computer systems to improve health. That's a term I know already. So because I know the term, I decided to look that up. And I had looked up for something called a systematic review. And I was surprised that there were no systematic reviews because I started going through and I realized OJ is back. OJ, are you back with a picture now? Oh, he's joining. Yeah, just to share the screen. So what I was saying is, oh yes, he's back with us. He's back with a picture. Share a screen. Right, so sharing the screen. So we've gone from, this is the assignment, we had put it in Excel. Then we had now gone to, right, I'd gone to Google Scholar. So we're in Google Scholar. We had looked up, I said I looked up system review. When I said in my first search, I did not see any option. So I thought to myself, I'm teaching the student to do systematic reviews. And what happens when people need something right away, they don't always do a systematic review. Can anybody remind me what's a systematic review again? We actually spent more than one class talking about it. Can somebody tell me what it is in your own words? What's the purpose of publishing? Go ahead.
Based on what I understand of it, it's like a collective review of papers on a certain topic.
Yes, that's actually right.
So it compiles, or not really compiles, but it looks at a specific sample of papers in a topic and then gives a general overview as to
right. There's actually you're correct. The difference between a review, which is what you're doing for your class assignment, your third assignment, and a systematic review is a systematic review has a set of search criteria that is attempting to do a comprehensive search on online databases. So when we look at this one right now, we're going to show you. So since I did not see any systematic reviews, although there's this, when I looked first, I decided to change my search to rapid review because I know that rapid reviews are more likely. And then I eventually found this article when I was scrolling through, because right now I'm just trying to find a systematic review or a rapid review or a scoping review. There's another one called an umbrella review. I'm trying to find a review that would be very useful for the paper. So I decided just for this example that my topic is digital health interventions in COVID, because two reasons: I have interest and we're in the pandemic, and yeah, so I found this computing related one and we opened the paper. But before we open the paper, we need to be able to cite it in APA. So we're just going to copy it here. Copy. We're going back to our Excel sheet. This was it. And we're going to put it in right here. Bang. And the thing about it is there's some way which I've got right now to put this. So the point is right here, that's the APA format. So I have the APA format for that article. On to the next thing. So I need the number of citations according to what I asked. The number of citations are right here, it's 11. That's because, yeah, that actually doesn't always have to be there, but that's also useful to document. So I actually to document that. So by the way, remember the whole thing is here. We could actually wrap this around, which I'm not going to take the time to do right now. Year of publication. What was the year again? I think it was this year, 2021. Just so, I mean, because you could actually go back and just keep going to the wrong thing.
Excuse me, Sam.
Yes, you're sure you're seeing the screen, right?
Yes.
Yes, what's the question?
So this is based on what we did in the concept paper.
Okay, so let me stop and say why we're doing this. Okay, so the next step after the concept paper, in fact, let's back all the way to why we're doing academic research. So we're not just doing it because it's a class in your program. In general, you're doing academic research because if there is something that is worth knowing that is not yet published about, somebody does academic research. So there will be at least one research question that there is not yet solid information about that in the academic literature. There might be some opinions in the newspaper. There might be people who are saying, oh, there's promise for X, Y, and Z. For example, that smart farming smart farming might be helpful for rural farmers. Maybe there's some data on that. But we don't know what is the level of digital literacy, maybe in rural areas across the whole world, and we decided to know that in Clarendon, Jamaica in particular. So they have justified that project, that it's worth finding out more about digital literacy and the factors that would lead to digital literacy in Jamaica. To me, actually, another question would be, what is the relationship between factors and even use of smart farming in Jamaica? Who knows? But the point is, we could, the point is we could ask a number of questions before we write what is called the literature review. So I could go back to that in the lecture. Let's not go there, just talk. Is, remember, you're writing for any research project 5 chapters. So in this class, you're going to be writing 2 chapters and doing about 5 assignments. In major project, you're going to be actually writing 5 chapters. So right now we're preparing you to write the 2nd chapter, which is the literature review. Before you write the literature review, it's good to have some notes that help you write it. So what all we're doing right now is just taking some notes. And one of the things that I find from students, so I never used to give this as an assignment 2 years ago. The people who are teaching with me, who both have PhDs and are published, who are recommending that we put this as an assignment, and now in retrospect, I agree with them. Didn't have this as an assignment at all. So this to me is now the easiest assignment everybody's going to do, and I always find it amazing that people can't do the easiest assignment. So we're basically putting in an easy assignment that it's not that hard to do. All we're doing is, let's go back to the one that we had here, the paper here. This paper had these references. So the assignment is, they have a whole heap of references. So let's see how much they have right now. So at the moment, they already have, remember, we just mentioned that they also need to, I'm just wanting to find out how much I have. So they already have 16. Just to remind everybody, for the concept note, you need at least, really minimum 5. It's preferably it's 7 to 10, but once it's less than 5 academic papers, it's going to affect the grade of your project, even apart from everything else. So, and it seems as if almost everything they have is actually an academic paper. So this is a journal. This is also a journal. This one is a book. This one is a book, number 4. This looks like a paper, but that's fine. Like this is not a journal article. Somewhere on the web. I'm not sure if it's a white paper or a green paper. I'm not sure. This is a case study. I don't know what it is exactly, but it looks like it's within a case study book. I'm not sure. But the point is, this is Harvard Law School. Boy, it's really a long time. But the point is, they have a whole lot of works, of which some are conference papers like this one, some are journal papers, some is book. A lot of really solid works that they have here. And the assignment will be, for each person, you must take I've not forgotten how to look at the assignment. Maybe it's minimum 3 of the papers and do this assignment. So in a best case scenario, you will be doing that for every single paper. But since it's not required for the assignment, you don't have to. And why would this be a good idea? Because when you're writing a paper, as in the literature review paper, it's good to have notes on every paper that you're working on. So that you get, what is the gist of the paper? What's the aim of the paper? What's the results of the paper? What's the conclusion? That's what, it's just basically some minimum notes so that you have the notes so that when you're writing the paper, here are all the notes on the paper.
So the summary table is, it said it was at least 3 of the papers that we use as reference.
Yeah, but you have the assignment. I'm not going to sit on your guys right now. I'm not focusing on how many. Right now, I'm focusing on the concept. So can we move on back to the concept?
Okay.
I'm not focusing on that homework. I'm right now focusing on teaching. So that will be on the Moodle side, and we can talk about that. Let's focus right now on getting what we're doing. So did I answer the person who was asking that question? Did I answer the question? So the why is we're just basically taking notes from, and by the way, when you say from the concept notes, you could have found other papers, you know. So the concept note is the first attempt at putting a context for the research project that you're proposing. As you continue to research, you might find other papers. So I'm going to give 2 examples right now. So I want to give one review example, which could be a systematic review, an umbrella review, a scoping review, a rapid review, or just a regular review. So I want to find at least one review, which I did. I'm going to find one empirical study and then show you how to take notes as an example. So let's go back to the paper. So the paper now, back to the paper, we actually had opened it. So the paper here tells us, I'm just going to read the abstract. So actually the whole paper is here, so we can learn the whole thing. But what is the paper? What's the summary of this paper? So this summary, the paper says that there's been an overwhelming need for healthcare services, not a surprise. So this here is a background of the study. This part is why this is the background. Then it goes on to tell you what is the aim of the study. The aim of the study is this. So at the moment, since I know aim is one of the questions, and right now I'm not even going to worry about paraphrasing. I'm just going to go straight to this. And aim is down here. I'm just typing in the aim. That's the aim. The aim of the study is to review applications of AI telehealth in the COVID-19 pandemic. That's what the aim is. We wanted to know the setting and participants or context of the paper. So let's go back to the paper to see what that is. So the paper is, well, what is this? What is the context or the setting? This particular paper is all about COVID-19, and there is a need. Okay, so the context is COVID-19 has led to more use of healthcare services. Actually, it's overwhelming. And then they say that there's been a wide range of digital health solutions being proposed. So here's my short version, because this is not really about one particular place. It's a global thing. So the context, a context just means the place or the setting. Here's my quick summary of what I understand from just glancing quickly at the abstract. So what I get here for this is that this paper is about for maybe reducing the like maybe tackling problems with health care services during COVID-19 pandemic. That's my understanding. So I just paraphrase what I just got from that first part of the paragraph. So the background was really saying that there's many healthcare solutions, or instead of why I reach, I could put many. Make it even shorter. I'm gonna have to paraphrase. Many healthcare solutions have been proposed for tackling the overwhelming healthcare services during COVID-19 pandemic. That's the So by the way, for every paper, this is going to be different. I just looked it up to say, what is it? This is, I put this in my own words. I didn't have to paraphrase it. Is there a, we'll come into this one last, but this is the hardest thing when you go through every one. What are the methods? Oh, the thing is, this is all about understanding a review. So in a review, it's looking at finding reports that match this. So this is looking at digital health solutions. So this is telling us that they're finding all potential relevant reports, and they find a large body of evidence for various clinical and operational applications. Now, this actually doesn't tell us the methods in the abstract. This is the only part. This one sentence is very vague. So this is related to the methods. A systematic scoping review was performed to identify potential relevant reports. That's really not clear. So I'm going to now walk to, hold on, where is it? Results. Oh, this is interesting. I'm actually looking at it and going, that's interesting. I'm actually looking for the method. I don't see the methods. I'm actually fascinated here. So this paper has an introduction and it goes straight to results. So let me see what it said it did. It said that, wow. And it says that the technology is most used is the results. You know, this is their results. The technology domain that most described for responses to COVID was AI, telehealth, and big data. So in fact, I can just copy this right here because I got the results. This is the results. In fact, let me go back up here because I'm not finding what I want. It's also here where I'm looking. Yeah, it's the same thing that is here. A large investigated that and then tell you about weaknesses. So that is the primary results. There's actually more results enough, but they say that there are also descriptions of Internet of Things, digital platforms, communication, that. So all of this is long results, but that's the short results chat. Oh, below the discussion. Okay, I'll come back to that in a second. So I'm just looking for them one by one. All right, come back to it. So we are at results. And remember now, we can put a longer or shorter results. And I'm putting a short result right now. Because it's, if you look, I'm going really short. 3 primary ones. They actually go to more. They say there are methodological problems, and they also say there are other things, IoT, but the 3 most ones are that. So you said that the methods, I've never looked at this paper before, so let's scroll and look at the paper. You say it's below the discussion. Interesting. That's an unusual way to put it. So let me see now. Where is that? This? Hold on. Screening reports. Oh, yes, it really is methods. That's a very unusual way of ordering the paper, but yes, all right, methods. So yeah, this is the actual methods. So they're, yeah, not surprised they're using something called Prisma. And so the papers are about digital health technology, and all English language peer review reports. Okay, somebody else is going to the class. So let me see. They don't say which particular databases, but this is kind of like, it's a little bit tricky to figure out how to put this. So I'm going to put this. This needs to be summarized. But this is really the methods here. It's tricky to put the methods. I'm going to have to rephrase my methods. But basically what they did was search for papers, yeah, original, did I spell original right? Original papers about, I'm just gonna put, like, it could have put all of that. I'm just gonna put digital health, yeah, about that in the context of COVID. Maybe I kind of put this too in English. In English. Within the first 6 months of the pandemic. I'm just trying to make it short. I'll just a little bit more. Yeah. Hold on. I want to make it a little different, so it makes a little bit more sense even to me. English for papers in English. Yeah, within the first 6 months of the pandemic about digital health. Because this is basically what they did. That's their method, admit. So that's what the method is. They're basically searching for these papers, and once they found a match, then they did analysis of those papers. And about within the 6 months is important, because if you wanted to redo this thing, we'd actually have to look at only those papers. And we'll have to look at things that is only about digital health technology or solutions in COVID. That's essentially what the essence, only English language, which is good for people English. Yes.
Excuse me. Explain that part. If you wanted to redo what in 6 months, so explain that part.
Right. So a method for any research project is basically what did the researcher or research team do. So if you were to read if anybody in the world wanted to redo a research project, the methods tells you what to do. So we could decide to do this paper again, which we wouldn't, but we could. And we would then need to look for all the papers in English that's about digital health technology, re-COVID, in the first 6 months. So I'm not sure what they mean, but I'm going to assume the first 6 months. I'm not sure whether they mean March, because that's when it was called a pandemic, or if they mean from December, when it was first declared to the world. So I would need to read the paper if I want to do it, to see if it's March to, March for 6 months, or if it's December for 6 months. I'm not sure. I'm just saying methods tell you how to repeat the research project. Does that answer your question?
Yes, understood.
Okay, good. So let's go back to still here. Okay. All right. So now we now have everybody in class. Let me go back to sharing the screen. Let me see. Okay, so let's go back to Google Scholar. Where is Google Scholar? I'm lost. Right, so here we are. So we have the methods. I mean, they're more specific, so they actually tell you which they actually use, particular databases they use, Medline, IEEE Explorer, and a number of other databases that give research preprints. So it's actually more specific. All of that is all about the methods, but you can read the whole thing. But I was just summarizing what they did. So I'm just giving it a summarize. That's what you do every time. This is a summary. So we also want to know the conclusion, and at the end of it, so the results is a bit detailed. I just gave to me the most important results, which is the 3 most common were AI, big data analytics, and something else. I think it was telemedicine maybe, or telehealth. See here, those 3. But they go on to say the performance of digital health technology for operational applications related to population surveillance and points of entry have not been adequately evaluated. When I look at this, I'm actually wondering for sure what is their conclusion. So I want to see, they have a discussion. So I'm actually wondering if they have a really clear conclusion. But they have a discussion. So all of this before the methods would have been a discussion, which we're not going to have time to read all this right now. So they're going to tell us, the pros and cons of these things. Some are mature and some there are gaps. In fact, let's just go to the gaps. So I want to scroll until I see the word gaps. So when I see here that gaps in literature have been identified, includes assessments for digital health technologies for that and that. Why I want to highlight that right away is because this is what this paper, after they read a whole heap of papers, they have come to say that what is not in the academic literature or the scholarly literature is people don't have evaluations or assessments of digital health technologies for population, for surveillance, and for point of entry. And that's important, I think. So we want to put under this section here. And by the way, this what I'm teaching you right now is not just for this assignment. So implication for research. Let me explain to you why. So this, what I just typed it in let's put it in quotation marks. It's very important when you are reading a paper or trying to find out what is going on in a field to find out what the gaps are. So for example, from this, we know that if we wanted to do population surveillance, which just basically means track what's happening with people with COVID. So surveillance works better on computer systems that manually. Even though there are population surveillance systems, people have not been writing academic papers about how good they are. So that could be something we may want to explore. So that's one possible area for future research. What are there any implications for practice? I don't know. Let's try to see. So by the way, I haven't come up to what the conclusion is. I'm actually wondering if this paper has a conclusion. And you know why I'm saying that? Because it's a scoping review. Because this is a whole new area of thing. Did they even have a research question? So let's go back to the paper. I know we're taking long, but this is a complex. I have been for the first time. Let's see. So the sections of the paper were results. And then usually after the results, you have conclusion. But in this paper, you don't have results, you have a discussion because they didn't have a very clear research question. In a systematic review, you typically have it, but there's a rapid scoping review, I think, this thing. So they have a whole discussion about the whole area. We had the gaps, and they tell us that the strengths of this review is X, Y, and Z, and that there are a limited number of studies on this whole area. Oh, here's our conclusion. In conclusion, there we go, paragraph. Our study provides a rapid scoping review. Okay, that's us telling you what they did. That was our conclusion. More gaps in literature for the conclusion of that. Okay. More studies investigating specific application of digital health to develop relevant, scalable public are highlighted. And these two we said already. Finally, there's a general need for better methodological design in the investigation of digital health applications, prospectively using pragmatic approaches. So they actually have 3 conclusions. I don't know how we summarize this quickly. Let me tell you why I say 3. So they have 3. They just said this first in the first sentence that we did a review. Then the next sentence to say that there is this gap in these 2 areas we said already. Then they go on to say that there needs to be better methodological design in the applications themselves. And it says that there should be participatory approaches in the deployment and assessment of these tools. So I would say that these 2 points is what they summarize here with this gap. So there could be a way to summarize this, and right now I'm not going to bother to do that in my own words. So let's just put this here. Since I'm just doing this quick thing, it's the conclusion without summarizing it myself. Okay, there we go. That's basically their conclusion, which we haven't paraphrased. So if you're going to write about it, you have to paraphrase it. And what have we not done? We have looked for 2 more things we need for this first thing. We want to figure out the implications for practice. So let's go back and see, have they told us anything, which they actually have enough? What did they say about implications for practice? What they said, am I in the conclusion part or am I not? Oh, right. Can anybody tell me what they're talking about that you need to do in practice?
Wait, repeat that.
What does this paper say in this paragraph? This paragraph right on the screen. What does the paper say about what could be changed in practice in this thing called digital health tools or digital health interventions?
Better methodological design.
It's actually 2 things. It's really back to what I said again. So they basically said the thing about it. This is actually suggestions for research. So I could have put it a different way when I had it earlier. So this, I would say these 3 sentences. This one tells me the gap again. This is a gap. There is not much about population surveillance. The assessments of these 2 areas are insufficient. Then this one tells me that research, this is for future research. So there could be research on this, but also research needs to also have better methods. Then this is what this can see, somebody can paraphrase. This is the recommendation for practice. Can anybody tell me how this relates to practice? Sorry, in case you all kind of forgot, this project is about, they're talking about digital health interventions, which in real life has included, according to them, telehealth, AI. What was the other thing that was the most common? Something that was the most common. I've forgotten already. You guys forgot too? Let me go back and look. It was telehealth, AI, and big data. And given how important those things are, not surprising. Those are the most common in COVID. And the next is Internet of Things, some kind of communication tools, some kind of data management, and I don't even know what this is, digital structural screening. So I'd have to look it up to find out what that means. I don't know if that means, for example, X-rays online. I don't know. I could look it up. Those are the ways in which people are using computer technology to help with health in COVID, for real. Because these people did a whole bunch of reading of other people's papers. So we get into their conclusion. So this is their conclusion. I can go back and find it right before the methods. And yes, I know the languages, but this is academic language. So academic language tends to be a little bit more challenging to read. I'm telling you that this sentence is telling us about what can people do in practice. So let's say you are part of a team that was going to be going forward. In fact, let's take the guy, there's somebody here right now who says he wants to do COVID and health, not COVID, there's some robot, what the robot name again? Cruise robot and health. So this, for example, this paper could be one of your background papers if you want to look at COVID. I mean, maybe you don't want to look at COVID, I have no idea. Let's back to this now. Can anybody tell me what that sentence means for practice? As in practice mean what you're going to do in real life. So wait, nobody knows what this word means? Participatory just means that you're going to interact with other people. So they're saying that there needs to be more participation with the end users, and those end users could be not just maybe the patients, it could also be the health professionals. I haven't read the paper, I'm just reading this. So I know that this means, and it's not shocking me at all. So all what you guys learn in software engineering, people just create tools all the time where they don't participate with people who are going to use it. It's just a regular thing. It's been happening for decades. So this is saying that there needs to be more participatory approaches in actually implementing and evaluating the tools so that people will actually be able to have this adoption working well during and beyond the pandemic. Everybody following this? I mean, the point is, to get this, you need to read the paper. So I'm only reading this just the summary, and I'm used to reading academic work, so I can get it quick. So since you guys are not used to reading these kind of papers, so you're not going to be as used as me to reading this and getting it right away. So when I see methodology design, I know that's research. When I see the word deployment, that's practice. So you're saying, yes?
That last sentence.
Come again?
How would we summarize that when we are put it into the table?
Right.
Would we need to summarize it in our own words?
Yeah, my biggest concern right now, I don't know what the other teachers. In reality, I am more concerned about the literature review itself than a rewrite of this in this assignment. That's what but what you are required to do. So I'm more concerned about that you don't plagiarize. So I would prefer that you actually do re-summarize some of it, because what happens is that when you paraphrase what you have read, you're more likely to get what you've read. because you actually have to think to put things in your own words, not true? But what you're going to need to do no matter what is that if this paper is important in your background or literature review, you're going to be needing to paraphrase it, because you can't just have, I mean, you could, but if you have more than about one quote in your entire thing, you're going to be penalized in your grade, and all academic works have close to no quotations. As in, quotations don't really come in academic works. You're expected to paraphrase it. So the big question is, so then how do you paraphrase it? So let's go back to, let's say, let me go back to this. So let's take this. Here would be the context. Let's say we wanted to look at artificial intelligence in COVID, right? And maybe in particular, we want to look at AI with mental health, but mental health is a big problem. So let's say we want to look at AI with mental health in COVID, because there's a increasing problem with mental health with, in fact, it's all age groups, but let's say we want to look particularly at adolescents. So that is the content of our entire project. So we read this paper and we see here that there needs to be some participatory approaches. So maybe there are other people who say so too, but one thing that I'm going to say if I read this is that based on a, whatever this is, rapid systematic scoping review on this, there was a recommendation that participatory approaches be used in the implementation. I just changed deployment implementation. In the implementation of digital health tools during COVID, and as such, our design of our project, we're going to be using, going to be interacting with adolescents in the design of our project, something like that. So basically, just use other words to say the concept, what you're trying to say. And I'm just saying why I'm bringing this up, because if you're going to be looking at AI and mental health, yeah, teenagers don't want this, just come in and do something. You're probably going to do something that is not going to be suitable for them. Especially if you are a person with good mental health, that's not a teenager. So if you want to get what's going to be good for teenagers, you probably have to interact with them to find out, and as well as the mental health professionals, all of that, to design a good AI tool to see what's going to work. I'm just giving what I take from this one sentence alone. So I'm paraphrasing it and I'm putting the context of what would I be doing. I decided I'm doing mental health with AI, and then I'm going to apply it in that way. But the first thing is, yeah, just restate it, that based on the systematic review, there has been the research team suggested that in the implementation of digital health tools during COVID-19, participatory approaches should be used. As I said, a different way. I mean, if I didn't want to use that, I could look up and see what, I can't think right now of another term for that. But just using some exact terms are fine. It's just using everything verbatim, in other words, exactly, is a problem. Was that Kurt? Did I answer you, Kurt?
It was Christopher, but
oh, Christopher, did I answer you?
Yeah, yes, but what if he said participatory approach by involving the stakeholders or something like that? Would that be?
Yeah, that's his fine.
Okay.
The point is, there's so many ways to say it, right? So there are many ways to say it. The thing about writing and speaking, there are many good ways to say something, and the unfortunate thing is there are much more horrible ways to say it. So there are usually a lot of good ways to say things that are clear, and I don't know why, but there seems to be so many ways to say things that are less clear. And I say that because of reading students' papers that I go like, what are they trying to say? I don't know. Even when I'm not trying to be like, I'm just trying to understand what they're trying to say. But yeah, man, there are many ways to say similar kinds of things. All right. Yes, Christopher. So the only thing we had left, from what I recall, spent long on this. Is we didn't look, I think we looked at, oh, we didn't write in this. So, right, the practice was basically good from, but so the practice is really that participatory. In fact, this is going from memory. Approaches. Memory should be used, or could be, it should be used with stakeholders. Let's put what you put for implementation and assessment. Assessment? Or what word did they use? I don't know. Digital health intervention. That's something like that. All right. So we didn't look at to see if there's a theoretical model or conceptual framework. So let's go back and see. You know, the thing about in a systematic review, there's unlikely to be a theoretical framework. So I'm just thinking, no, I doubt it. Let me just see, there's an introduction, and when you get to it, there's a of that 6 months. Yeah, this is just basically telling us a little bit about digital health and what's been happening with COVID. That's what the background is about, and we go straight into it. So based on what is what's happening here, this is some diagram showing what's happening with, yeah. We could look at the rest of it, but I don't see from here. We could open we could open these things and look. But this is just giving us the exact. Yeah, these are all the different papers. AI, data, IoT, telehealth, digital communication, whatever DM stands for. I've not forgotten. I'm sure there's a key somewhere. And DS. So each of these had a meaning, and I'm sure they have a key. I don't see the key. Back to article page, we're there. Yeah, I don't see in this paper anything, so I'm going to say that this is oh, it's here. So this looks like this is not applicable. Not applicable. Not spell. Fair enough. So I wanted to show one more. So let's go back to this. And I just want to find a paper. So I went with artificial intelligence. Let's do this. And I'm not going to specifically look for something with I'm actually going to look for a paper with a model, because I want to show a model so you can actually know what I mean by an example of a model. So this one could be okay. Let's which one do I want to look at? Look at them quickly. Oh, weird. There actually is one on a technology acceptance model for the combat COVID-19 in Taiwan. I'm like, wow. Teachers. Anyway, this is not about that. Dance training. These two are not about COVID. So and this is about agriculture, AI and agriculture. So let me see. This one is about that. So, guys, we have 3 choices. Would you like to look at this one, or the one with the masks, or do you not care?
The mask one.
And that's that. I thought that one funny, so I was like kind of curious. I mean, it's only one person, but it's this year. Somebody just published that recently. So let's see what they wanted to say about masks. So here we go. Yes, here we go. So this article says, as the abstract first. So in Taiwan in 2014, they actually had a system, a health platform. Notice I'm just jumping quick to get this essence, that they had personal health records, and then in COVID they use this medical information technology. By the way, it's up here, the MIT that they defined it, to effectively prevent the spread of COVID and undertake that. And using My Health Bank to purchase masks. Oh, they actually had a system. Oh, interesting. So they already had a personal health platform in Taiwan.
In 2014, they had that.
No, yeah, man. Taiwan clearly not for. Okay, let's back up. This is not for the pandemic. They established a personal health platform in 2014.
Oh, okay.
Guys, you need to read carefully. Then in the face of the pandemic, they used the medical information technology that they put in place back in 2014 to help with COVID. So 6 years later, they use the same system as been apparently working for 6 years. And maybe people could purchase it online. We need to read the rest of the paper. But so the objective is to find out people's intention to use this to do that. The methods is, in fact, this is really fascinating. So they promoted the research and email on Facebook, and they had a questionnaire and a video about it on YouTube. And and they use the, okay, so I know this already. So this thing is part of what I'm telling you is the models. So soon comes back to this. So they actually had a questionnaire, and this is the results and the conclusion. So let me just see. Let me see what they have here. It's Intel answer. They even had Taiwan stuff. Okay, so just to give you just to show you, they use a model. Their model that they use, the technology acceptance model. So that's the one they use. So for this paper, which we're going to do in a second, we're not going to spend all the time on it. So just to show you, let's give you a 2-second more show. Back to Google Scholar again. So I'm going to show you another one. There are 2 common models used in technology acceptance. One is UTAUT, and which stands for the Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology, and the other one is simply TAM, Technology Acceptance Model. So, and there are lots of papers on UTAUT, see, 43,000, and on TAM there's a lot more, like say 4.8 million. In fact, that might not just be technology acceptance model, so I might actually need to put this in specifically. Less will come up. This is 3.4. So there's a lot on. This has been around for a long time, and the one I just said is less articles. And if you just went to Google, because I want to show you so you'll understand the concept. Let's go with the more complicated one. There it is. There are different versions of UTAUT. I'm just showing you. I'm not teaching you today. So this is a model. So these are variables. So here are the variables in UTAUT. So there's the simpler ones. Social influence mean this is the intention to use a new technology, and this is actually use of the technology. The social influence means if people around you that you trust and know use it, it might affect you. So effort means how much work it takes for you to actually do it. This performance experiences, do you expect the thing to actually help you? So these are the various variables, and age, gender, and experience might impact your intention to use a technology and your actual use of that technology. TAM. Wow, this is not it. Just barely putting in that never helps. So let's put in the actual. I'm just showing you the model is a simpler thing, which is just like the other one. Let's go to the basic one. So this is TAM. It has perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use, which leads to the attitude towards using technology and attention to use and actual system use. So it's a simpler model. So we're doing all that to say, for this paper, where's my paper again? This paper here, I have now lost my paper. This was the paper, right? So this kind of cool paper. I'm actually intrigued to actually read this paper. I actually like research. Maybe I'm strange, but I'm teaching a class, and I actually like the class. I like the content. I don't like that so much of you just don't get why this thing is important. Do you know that all countries that do lots of research have better GDPs? Because research and development is what makes world economies go forward. Not that alone, because obviously music and sports are important. Lots of things are important. It's not the only thing in life that's important, but it's one of the many important things that make economies go. So this is the citation there, and we know what the theoretical model is. For that one, it's technology acceptance model, right? And let's go. And this was the setting of this paper was Taiwan. I don't know if it was more than that, so we could go and look. I'm not sure. Let me go back on the paper. Where's this paper? Oh, it was. This is it. So let's go back onto the if it was more than Taiwan. So the background. Yeah, it says Taiwan is good enough. I mean, that's the thing was in Taiwan. I mean, you could go and give more background on that, but basically the paper was done in Taiwan. I mean, if you really want to give more background in your own notes yourself, you could have wrote that. You know, they use the My Health Bank in the COVID-19 to help with mass purchasing. And so here are the aims of the project. This is the methods, and we want to leave right now without at least finding out what are the results and the conclusions, because I'm curious. So they collected these questionnaires from a whole bunch of people, and at the end of it, they said that further analysis indicated the most important factor affecting respondents' intention to use the medical health, what is that, MHP, some again, or My Health Bank, affecting the use of My Health Bank. What's the conclusion? Was attitude towards use, followed by perceived ease of use, perceived usefulness and health literacy and privacy. So these are the things, these are the factors that affected their intention to use My Health Bank. So the attitude don't really surprise me. And then if they thought it would be easy to use, then if they thought it would be useful, then if they knew a lot about health, then if they had, I guess, low concerns about privacy and security. Those are the things that were important based on this survey. Everybody understands what these results mean? If you go back and I scroll down to the table, it would have been, I don't, nobody is really answering me. It would have been, let's go back to TAM. It would have been, see here, they have hypotheses. So they have 8 hypotheses that all of these things would have an impact on, and they would have found that only some of these hypotheses are true after doing their number crunching, as in statistical analysis. And then that's basically what they tell us at the end. So at the end, after they do the statistical analysis based on the collecting of data from the research, and this is all the stuff about the whole project, and you know, it's like fancy structural equation modeling, all of that at the end of the whole thing, and then they discussed it. So I'm actually wondering if people actually use this. Yeah, I'm actually wondering, because this was about the intention to use. I'm actually wondering if there's any follow-up study, like did people actually use this to purchase masks? That's one thing I'm not too sure about. I'm reading this and I don't know. But it'll take a little while to find the whole thing out. But the point is, this is actually interesting. By having this online system, they decided, that was established from 2014, they decided to use it or potentially use it to see if people could buy a mask in Taiwan. So it says that Taiwan had successful experience in preventing COVID by using various medical, what's this, information technology, I think. So apparently it had some success in Taiwan. The one thing I personally think by just glancing at this is missing is, you know what I don't see? How come they didn't have in their model, they have health literacy, but I think they should have technology literacy. Because for this, and even technology access, because for this to work, you need to have technology access and technology literacy, not just health literacy. So I have a critique of the paper. So I'm like, why did they not take data on that unless everybody in Taiwan has technology literacy and technology access? I don't know. I don't live in Taiwan, but that's my one question I have for the project. Why were those things not measured? And by the way, this is my critique of time. Let me see what time it is. We're kind of going out to time. Yeah, 12:37. Anyway, so let me stop this share.